Circuit Squirrel. What is inside of a summon box which somewhat emulates going through a console? I try asking people and they generally say the same stupid fluffy things like it's just analog circuitry that makes it sound that way. But if that were the case, people would just loop an analog cable from DA to AD. Somehow it's hard for me to believe that engineers such Chris Muth or folks at Neve don't have far more specific sonic target goals in mind than simply creating an analog circuit. I'd love to know more about this. Of course they do have much more specific sonic goal than just an analog circuit. You should take the things with a grain of salt. I have this infamous, at this point, video that I make years ago in which I was explaining why I don't use nor like Sammi mixers, although that video was old and it was referring to the very first generation of Sammi mixers, which were literally just boxes with analog cables with a few transformers in them. That's it. And if you want to know, like, to answer your question, mainly what's inside Sammi mixers is transformers. That's what gives the analog sound, which is the same things that you find in compressors or EQ that are, so to speak, colored. Different transformers give different colors. So Carnil for that Neve kind of effect, Cinemag or UTI or Sauter, like for example in Fairchild and stuff. So different transformers will give you a different collection of harmonics, a different THD, a different distortion, different color, character, transient shaving, transient response, all these things. Transformers are a big part of why a certain machine sounds different than the other. And not only that, but of course the circuit itself also changes the sound. So, but mainly what you find in Sammi mixers is transformers. And then of course there's other things. Some have tubes in it. So that depends on what tubes they use, what the circuit that houses the tubes is, what's the voltage of the circuit. And I'm not sure who are the people that say, oh, some analog circuitry. Yeah, no, you know, but it would be like, oh yeah, a car has 4 wheels. And so the cars are all the same. Now, the new generation of Sammi mixers also have other added processing inside. For example, I think there's the dangerous one that makes it one with transformers that you can control the color of it, not just by how hard you hit it with the signal, but it actually has a knob. It has some have like a parallel compression processing. So they started adding things. The Neve, I think, has the silk buttons, like 2 different types of color, like the red and the blue, like I have on my tape emulators. So they started adding more processing in analog summon mixers right now because they kind of heard my video probably and understood that nobody really wants a dumb box where there's literally just inputs and a couple of transformers in it. And most important, nobody wants to pay $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for that. So they kind of, all the companies up their game in the Sammi mixer and they have more features now. But the thing with Sammi mixers that I didn't like back then when I made that video was the marketing that was around them, right? They were trying to sell the Sammi mixer as the cure for digital, and that the digital sum was your bottleneck, and that was the reason, because in the box mixes didn't sound like out of the box mixes or analog, and that's completely false. There's nothing wrong with the digital sum. Actually, the digital sum is perfect, and I actually have a video on it, don't have to believe me, with one of the creators of the DAW Reaper, and we talk about this in that video, and we talked about the audio engine and how he put it this way: the audio engine is the equal sign in an equation. So if you have 2 + 2 = 4, the equal is your audio engine in your DAW, the sum, right? If this equation doesn't equal 4, it equals 5, your audio engine, your equal sign is broken. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with the digital sum. So there's no need to fix and buy a machine that fixes the bottleneck, because there's no bottleneck. Now we can argue that we don't like perfect and we want the color, we want the non-linearities, and that's why people now market Sammi mixer that way, but for me, it's much better to buy other analog units if you want analog color and not a Sammi mixer, but that's just me. If you guys have questions for the Q&A, leave them in the comments down below. Consider using the super thanks and support the channel. Click the join button and access the exclusive members only mix and mastering courses. Many more are coming in the next weeks. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, comment down below. See you next time.
Hands on my neck, hands grip my throat. Lift me up, man, take control. Heart is so gone, my type. Don't you know I fall for the bad type? You play the role of an angel pretty well.